Woman tutorials. The whole phase. Now, the way it used to be back in the day, when it came to the whole phase thing, was one of those very few 304s. I'm gonna just use that term. There used to be less 304s back in the day, and they had a purpose. They're the ones who typically chose that path. Sometimes the path chose them, but that's for a different conversation. Thing is, they chose the path, and they're on that path. And most of them regret that path, typically. That's the normal thing to happen. But again, they were very rare. But one of the things about being in the whole phase, being a 304 back in the day, was the fact that you served a purpose that wasn't selfish. It was a selfless purpose. And that purpose typically was to help guys who aren't that versed with ladies, ain't that popular with the ladies, become a little bit more popular. So the 304s of the past, they used to help guys get popular with the ladies. One of the things that gets a guy popular with the ladies is when they see that chick with another chick. See that dude with a chick. So if you're seen with a chick, especially if the chick has been around, has some experience, let's put it that way, and other ladies see you with that lady with experience, even if y'all didn't do anything physical, there will be because of her reputation, there'll be the perceivedness, the perception that something happened between you and her, which, would increase her negative reputation, but would increase yours. So she's giving up her value to increase yours. And she did that a lot for a lot of guys, which was obviously appreciated service among the guys. But it was, it's an unfortunate, obviously there's the unfortunate side effect of her future not being so pleasant typically, which is why there wasn't that many 304s back in the day, because it never was a good path for a chick to be. A guy being a 304, right? Well, that only benefits him in his life. Because again, like I said, if a chick sees that you've been with other chicks, that increases your value with the ladies. So your chances of having a whole bunch of chicks chasing you is higher than that. And that typically what happened, because all you needed was to be with the chick either actually intimately or just be in her presence, her, heavily implying that y'all spend some time together, then that, spread out. And of course, there was the situations where if a chick wasn't in that, path, that phase, right, then rumors can happen. She could be mislabeled. And that's an unfortunate scenario where she's not part of that, lifestyle, but people assume she is, and that was an issue. So there were some false 304s back in the day because of rumors. So that was a thing back in the day. Now, most people would just assume that any chick has 304 been through the 304 phase. So that's why we just say it's a phase instead of just being like, those just some 304s. No, now it's a phase, right? And that's unfortunate. Where it's like it's a path. Now every chick thinks that she's supposed to go through the 304 phase in her life, specifically in her youth, when it makes more sense to be a 304 in your older years, 30 years plus, after you hit the wall and whatnot, than it is to do it in your younger years, 20 plus. Between 20 and 30 is when you should, be making better decisions and finding someone that will be with you for a long period of time, well, beyond your 30s, and then, do what you want to do afterwards and continue from there. At least lock down a backup plan, right? Most chicks see, they see guys as a option, as an accessory, as opposed to a goal. All right, teach them if you want to go that route. But at least I'd rather have ladies see guys in relationships and marriages, at least as a backup plan, right? To your choice of career and this, that, and third. At least make sure you have a guy there throughout that process. And if all fails or you decide you don't want to be on that path anymore, then it'll be easy to jump over to the next lane, right? And continue your path with, the great guy that you chose. And that's the thing. You're supposed to be vetting the great guy and find the right guy instead of just going through a whole bunch of guys thinking that that's how you're going to find the right guy, or thinking by going through a whole bunch of guys that you'll be perfect for the right guy. And it's like, no, that makes you the opposite. That makes you imperfect. You're devaluing yourself and you're becoming less important, less useful, less respectful to the right guy later on. But back to the original, 304 phase. The purpose and the usefulness. If you're the type of lady that plans to pretty much not, be selfish, not, be strong, independent, don't need no man, then just like the ladies of the past, you should be offering your services, not necessarily for a price, obviously, but if you could, to each their own, whatever, it's not my business. But the point I'm saying is, instead of keep chasing the guys who easily can get laid, right, who's popular with the ladies, you should be considering the guys who aren't that popular with the ladies, because they're the ones you should be helping to improve, get better, and typically they tend to be the nicer guys, right, the better guys. Because again, a guy who can get chicks tend to be assholes. They tend to not value what you offer, right? Which is why they're not the ones you should be offering that particular aspect of yourself. You should be offering to a guy who would appreciate, a guy who would appreciate you as a person, and then you reward them with the fact that, with that aspect of you, instead of guys who don't respect you, don't appreciate you, who's like, oh, you could easily be replaced, and then you just give them what they want. And that's the thing. Those guys are constantly winning while you're losing. That's what you have to understand. See, the ladies in the past, at least they won something. They typically garnered a level of respect from most guys, not every guy, but from most guys. And sometimes they tend to leave the 304 phase a lot sooner than later, because the longer they stay in it, the worse things get, right? But the sooner they get out of it, that increases their chances of at least getting a decent guy, right, to spend the rest of their life with, which I definitely encourage. Is like, the sooner you get out of the phase, the better. Ideally, it'd be good for you not to go into the phase in the first place, but if you go into the phase, it'd be a good idea to just, leave. It's the same thing when you see like people out there like selling drugs and stuff, and it's like, okay, you sold drugs for like a couple weeks, made some good money. Why don't you stop and then take that money you've made and then put it into some more legit stuff? Like, why don't you start a legit business and keep making money legit instead of doing it illegally? You would think that'd be the logical thing, but they rather just keep doing the easy thing, which is to keep doing the thing that they're already doing. And that's what tends to happen to a lot of these ladies who start off there in the 304 phase. Sometimes the 304 phase starts just because of a heartbreak, right? Just because they were with a great guy, it didn't work out, mainly because she ruined it. Jealousy, insecurity, this and that, And again, he was a good guy. He was loyal and stuff like that. It's not like he cheated, but she didn't like. She had issues, right? Trust issues and whatnot. That usually tends to happen. So she got way too emotional in the relationship, and the relationship ended. So if she had more emotional control, that would have, prevented that. Emotional intelligence, as some ladies like to say. To me, I just say emotional control. Maturity. But that's the thing. Sometimes y'all make the wrong mistakes at a young age. Y'all start getting into relationship at a young age, and that tends to corrupt your perception of relationships. And then that's where, like I said, the 304 phase sometimes tends to happen because of bad experiences. So instead of making better decisions, you start making worse. And then when you get into your late late 20s, especially nowadays, is where I see it the most. Once you get into the late 20s, that's when you slowly start realizing that you don't like the phase. So then you start talking about you're going into your healing phase. And that takes a long time because you immediately end up going right into the wall, right? 30 plus. And you talking about you end up, 40 years old talking about, you're still healing. It's like, well, that's ridiculous. And then you want somebody to pick you up right afterwards, right? To be with you after all that healing. But it's like, you shouldn't have taken that long to heal, as well as you shouldn't have put yourself in a position where you had to heal. I support healing. I just don't support it taking so long, considering the fact you don't have that long to find somebody who will want to spend the rest of life with you. Whether it be because you're attractive or because you have a great personality. Now, ideally, you should have a great personality on top of your particular set of skills. And hopefully you ladies, find your purpose, your goals sooner than later, your true desires, your true wants, right? The stuff your needs, the stuff you truly need. Find what you need, find the healing, all that good stuff. Take therapy, whatever you need. Go to the gym. The list goes on. Of all the things you can do to improve yourself, to better yourself, and to greatly increase your chances. Because I believe in second chances. I believe that you can turn a 3 or 4 into a housewife, but she has to want that. It's hard to, have somebody do something they don't want to do, right? Which is why, accountability is important. Because some ladies out there would like to, blame other people for their decisions in life when it's all on them. No one can truly make you do anything unless it's truly by force, and we don't be seeing people be truly by force doing something they don't want to do. They do it because they actually choose to do it, or they convince themselves to do it. So if anybody's forcing you to do anything, it's you. It's always you. Which is why we say no one makes you do what you do, you do. Right? You have the final say on what your body does and what you do with your body, right? Your body, your choice, so your responsibility, your fault. So hopefully, you ladies start finding what truly matters to you the most. I know most ladies like to say loyalty, and I agree with it, but at the same time, in this day and age, loyalty, as in, well, you get, loyalty, like a guy who isn't interested in other females other than you is going to be very rare, just like it's going to be very rare for a guy to find a chick who's a virgin. So, gotta take the good with the bad. The only time you can get a guy to be loyal, right, was for you to be a virgin. You're a virgin, he's a virgin, bang. The only people y'all having sex with is each other. The only people, y'all desire is each other because y'all got to know each other first. Y'all got to, y'all sexual experience was with each other. So it makes it more special, and by it being more special, it makes it more valuable than if you were to have sex with somebody else. A lot of times, even if a wife or a husband, stepped out, and this is back in the day, of course, stepped out of the relationship, right, had sex with somebody else, but because they started off the relationship with just each other, a lot of times those relationships didn't break up because of it. If anything, they try to fix it, try to work it out. It's like, why did it happen? Blah, blah, blah. And, a lot of times it wasn't that big of a deal. It's like, okay, it was a mistake, lack of judgment, whatever you want to call it, right? Primal urges, whatever. And they made it work. And a lot of times the relationship got way better and stronger, a lot of times because of it, right? Not saying that was a good thing per se. It's just that that's typically what did happen. And part of it is because of the bond they have, which allowed them to overcome those things. Just like in a situation where, like, the guy lost his job and he's going through a couple months of struggle and issues and, and whatnot. Maybe he lost a family member at the same time. he lost a job, he lost a family member, so he's going through some shit. And her being there through him and, with him going through thick and thin, right? Part of your vows, right? Through thick and thin, having each other's back and going through all the ups and downs, and then made y'all bond stronger because it shows y'all care, y'all love each other. You want the best for each other, so you put effort towards each other to lift each other up and go from there. The good old days. There was even scenarios where, especially if a guy was very successful, he would have a mistress, something to help keep the relationship, strong. Now, some ladies will disagree with that now, but it's, it is something the guys desire the most, right? Guys desire, or because of biology, sex over materialistic things. And ladies value materialistic things over sex, right? So that's why it's not surprising if a guy wants options. Not necessarily saying that he has to have them, just saying that not surprising if he does. And then back in the day, a mistress would be a thing, and that would be a known thing. It wouldn't be a secret. The wife would know about the mistress. The wife approves of the mistress. More likely, the wife vetted or chose the mistress for the trust factor, for the fact that, like, yes, I understand you provide a service, you provide something that I can't provide or don't want to provide and whatnot, and go from there. There was a mature way of doing things. Now people are being immature, childish, and this is, the modern day whole, 304 phase is largely a lot of selfishness, a lot of childishness, and that's where a lot of the regret comes from regretting how immature and childish you are by the decisions you make that led you into that phase in the first place, and the fact that you were in that phase for a long period of time. There's some chicks right now still in their 304 phase, and they're in their 50s. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you think you will want a better life, you will want to do things better. I'm not against people, having a little bit of fun, go to a party here and there once in a while, but trying to party all the time, it's like, that's a waste of life. That's no different from a kid playing video games all the time instead of doing his homework or cleaning his room or hanging out with his friends and, or, being with a girlfriend or boyfriend, spending time with other human beings, spending time with family. There's more important things in life than what most people value. And unfortunately, like I said, a lot of ladies tend to, because of their feelings, tend to go down the wrong direction in life because of it. And then eventually the feelings change, and then they start trying to pivot and try to go a different direction. And usually it's hard to travel down that direction when you're not familiar with that direction in life. But hopefully, you figure it out, early that you want outcomes. Anything in life requires work. Anything worth something requires work. Anything you can easily get for free, it tends to be worthless. That's why when a guy who can get sex all the time, sex becomes worthless to him. I mean, he still likes it. It just becomes like worthless. It's like it's nothing too special because he gets it all the time. So you offering a guy who gets sex all the time sex is stupid. It's like offering $20 to a billionaire. Like, they don't need it. So that's a waste. And I see that a lot, ironically, in life. People trying to give people something they already have. Like, literally trying to give lots of money to people who already have lots of money. It's like, what the hell? That's ridiculous. Somebody who has access to a whole bunch of food, they're trying to give them more food. It's like, no, give food to somebody who doesn't have food, right? That's always unfortunate. People who already have, people want to give them more of that. Like, what? No, give people who don't have things something. Like, for example, guys, especially guys in your friend zones who like you might want to give them something. You know what I'm saying? That'd be appreciated. That'd be nice. That makes no sense to give it out to guys who always gets it, already have it, because you don't realize you're giving them nothing special. If anything, give them your personality, right? Give them who you are as a person. I give them yourself. They already get that all the time from elsewhere. Guys who do value who you are as a person, this, that, and third, they're already receiving your personality. They're already receiving, who you are as a person. Give them a little extra. I'm just saying, logically. Do, you're by your choice, right? Do whatever you want. Just letting you know that things are different than they used to be. Ladies of the past that were 304s, that were in that phase, they served the community well. They helped make a lot of great men. They helped, balance out the force, as they say, the imbalance in the sexual marketplace. Right? They made sure that more of the good guys, more of the good quality men, were seen, were picked by the ladies, and ended up in happy marriages, or at least long-term relationships. Were better off than the fuckboys. Because think about it, if all you're doing is giving your body to the fuckboys, and the ladies see the fuckboys with you, then that's just going to encourage them to want the fuckboy. And then all that's going to happen is all you ladies are just going to be fucking the fuckboys, not making them any better, because they don't want to change. They got what they want, which is y'all. So they're not going to change. They're not going to become better, right? They're just going to keep doing what they're doing because it works. And y'all letting it work, y'all making it work for them. And all the other guys who aren't getting any, who are decent human beings, you're not doing them any favors. You're not helping them out. And in return, don't be surprised they don't help you out, right? If you want a better world with better men, better guys, good quality dudes, you need to start giving them a reason to keep being a good quality dude, and show the ladies like, yo, this guy is awesome. He treats me with respect, and he's good in bed. Go pick him. You know what I mean? Help your fellow ladies pick better guys instead of keep encouraging and rewarding the douchebags. That's all I'm saying.